Welcome to a hilarious competition among your library's employees that challenges them to think outside the box and use their creativity to solve problems and complete tasks. The competitors will be judged by the library's mysterious rule master, who will decide the winner of each episode and issue tasks for families to complete at home. A new episode will be released every month on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram TV. Follow along, cheer on your favorite library workers, and complete creative challenges with your family to be shared on social media. Welcome to the Library Rules. Episode 1, Your Time Starts Now. Task 1, find the first word in the book without touching it. Hands cannot come within 12 inches of the book. Task 2, move the heaviest object from point A to point B. Task 3, make the longest grammatically correct sentence using book and media titles you see around you.
According to the library rules, you must figure out the first word of this book without touching the book with your hands.
Your hands must not come within 12 inches of the book.
Fastest wins. Your time starts now. I'll use my hands for this part.
It's not 12 inches, so I can't flip it over with that.
So if you're going by the title page is the first words, it's going to be Big Fish, Novel of Mythic Portions.
And where do we define the first word?
This. Big fish. First word. That's not gonna work, is it? It's what if I knock it off the table. It's not gonna work. It's not within 12 inches.
The first word printed inside the book, right? It doesn't say. The first word of this book.
I'm really in awe of your flexibility.
So, okay, we're going to go with the word the. I don't know if that's.
I feel like I'm watching like a martial artist.
Okay, because I got here, I'm just going to say that it's on. First word is on.
Windy, go left. Well, it's in that 12-inch section. Big. Big is the first word in this book.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of ways to interpret this, whether it's the first printed word inside or the first word of the actual text. So it's either big or it's on. But I feel like no matter what, I should get points for getting to the first page without my hands.
According to library rules,
According to library rules, you must move the heaviest object you can find from line A to line B.
You may use anything in the library. Heaviest object wins.
Heaviest object wins. You have 10 minutes. Your time starts now.
From line A. So can I get help moving it to line A? I mean, it doesn't say anything about that. It says get a heavy object moving to line A.
From line that's A. So B.
You're so fast.
Really heavy.
Oversized books there.
Oversized. I think I need like one object that's like really heavy. Who can I push? Can I get a person?
That's it.
255 pounds. I don't think anybody else is moving that much.
Do you feel good about that?
Yeah, I feel fine.
I mean, a person would be like well over 100 pounds, right? Jennifer, do you want me to push you? Can I push you in a chair? And then push you?
She hasn't set it down yet.
Okay. Oh.
You were 916. I'm a little offended at the idea that I'm the heaviest object he could find.
Well, I'm just guessing that whatever anybody else found probably isn't like as heavy as this one.
That's a really tall figure. So that means you use
I didn't. Oh.
I'm really afraid of the top heaviness of this. Okay. Whew. Light flashing before my eyes. Nice and calm ride. I made it safely to line B.
Well, darn it. At least I could get tight.
You did.
According to library rules, you must make the longest grammatically correct sentence.
Out of book, movie, and media titles you see around you.
Longest sentence.
Longest sentence wins. Grammatically correct doesn't mean it has to be good. I can just link a bunch of independent clauses together with semicolons.
It does not say anything about the quality of
No.
the sentence. That is true.
The Enchanted Sonata, poisoned The Enchanted Sonata of Poison, Girls with the shadow. Okay.
Then I am not using the whole title.
Um, there's a book called When We Were Yours. Do I have to see it? Probably.
Can I get up and go look over there?
Whatever you feel you need to do.
Can I see around me? I don't know if I'm allowed to get up.
In case he wants to make a call.
The Enchanted Sonata poisons girls with razor hearts and girls with sharp sticks. Since you've been gone gathering deep stars above the ruby circle, semicolon, here there be dragons.
2 days after Battle of the Bulge, Ben is back.
So this makes sense because secrets and all the things we never knew. So I can justify that being a grammatical sentence because it's similar ideas continuing on. The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea return 499 facts about hip-hop Hamilton and the rest of America's founding fathers and all your twisted secrets to Bryson Keller. All the things we never knew salvage the Wizard's Craft book.
Hey, welcome to Library Rules. I am here today with our mysterious rule master, the man behind the curtain himself, and we are going to review the tasks, give a little commentary, and update you guys on the scores. So just to remind everyone, in Task 1, our contestants had to figure out the first word of a book without their hands coming within 12 inches of the book. Let's get into it. What are some of your thoughts on Task 1?
I'm super impressed with some of the contestants. They have the ability to use their feet, which I wish I had to a degree such as that, to have such a finesse and ability to read. But I would say one is disqualified, for sure.
Ooh.
Hands down, because their hands are down.
I think I know who you're talking about, and I have to say I'm really disappointed because I feel like he had a good strategy, but he kind of got distracted from the goal of the task, which is not just to not touch the book, but to not let your hands come within 12 inches of the book. So yeah, I have to say I'm really sad to hear of the disqualification, but I do think it's pretty cut and dry. So as far as awarding points, how do you think that should go?
So, after reviewing the book, reviewing the footage, reviewing everything, it's very clear who won and who didn't. So I'll start at the very bottom Mike has been disqualified. His hands came way too close to the book. And he, instead of reading the first word of the book, he chose part of the title, which is clearly on the front of the book too. Okay.
Should we clarify how we're defining first word of the book?
Sure, it's whatever I decide.
Obviously.
It's the first word of the book. And I decide it's when the actual content of the book starts.
Seems fair.
It's not the title. And it's also not the table of contents like another person has picked. It's not it's not the first chapter, the first word of the first chapter. It is on, like Elijah bit. And thus he wins 3 points, Peyton gets 2 points, Mike gets 0 for being disqualified.
Moving on to task 2. In task 2, our contestants were challenged with moving the heaviest object they could find from line A to line B. I'd like to remind everyone that they did have 10 minutes to do this. None of our contestants actually used the full 10 minutes. In fact, many of them barely got past a minute. So let's consult the rule master.
This task was awesome because we are in a library full of books, heavy books, carts of books, a book drop. There's so many different things people could have done, and yet they all went in a completely different direction. But I have to give it to one person in particular, Mike, for outclassing everyone else and just simply with the confidence, championship spirit, because clearly walking across, saying, I hopefully assume is correct, because if he's not, he's another disqualification. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because that's the confidence of a brave man. Clearly wins.
Yeah, there was no hesitation on Mike's part. He knew from the moment he read the task exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he knew that there was no way anyone else was going to even come close to that. So I do think he deserves points for that level of confidence, for sure.
What was going on in your head when Peyton picked up the table and then started from the beginning of line A to the end of line A?
Well, my first thought, when she determined that the end of line A was line B, was that you clearly see that line A is labeled with an A. So I think I was very confused. Although we do have some additional tape on the floor for social distancing purposes.
Of course.
And I think that might have played into her confusion.
Oh.
But I do admire her spunk
Yes.
and her just sheer strength at going over in her denim jumpsuit and picking up the table and just hulking it over there. I mean, girl power, right? I think that's pretty awesome.
Flat, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't put any books on the table.
In fact, she took a book off the table,
Oh.
which I thought was interesting. The book from the previous task was on the table,
So
but
she-
she removed weight from the table.
She thought the table was too heavy, and so she took something off of it and then picked it up. Okay,
Yes,
good to
yes.
know. Good to know.
Which is an interesting strategy when you're going for heaviest object. But
And so maybe the fan favorite, no shoes, no socks, Elijah, who likes to feel the ground beneath him.
yes, he's like an earthbender, really. He's got to get in touch, with the ground.
So what was your reaction when he just darted away? What did you guys think he was going to get?
Well, I really had no idea.
Yeah.
Because of his tendency to overthink.
Sure.
I felt like he could be going in any direction with it. What I thought was really interesting was that he decided it should be one object. He wouldn't take a card of books because that was multiple objects.
Yeah.
He really felt it should be one object. But then turned around and pushed me in a chair, which is definitely more than one object. So it's very interesting to see how people contradict themselves in moments of panic.
Sure.
And how the thought process evolves throughout the task. I would like to argue
Oh.
that he should perhaps be penalized
Ooh.
just for insulting me. When tasked with moving the heaviest object he could find, he determined that I was the heaviest object he could find.
Well, we don't know how heavy that chair is.
We don't know how
It could
heavy
be
the
a
chair
100-pound
is.
chair.
That's true.
We do have heavy. We're known for our heavy chairs at the library.
That's true. But the chair was secondary.
Oh.
The first instinct was, Jennifer, can I push you? And I have to say, it really messed with my self-image. So I'm thinking maybe a deduction of points is in order, but really, it all falls to you on that.
How far do you think you should fall?
I don't know. I also relate to his ability to overthink things.
Yeah.
So, I kind of admire that. I don't think he should necessarily come last,
Okay.
but perhaps just a point deduction.
Just a single point.
Maybe
deduction.
just a single point for my honor.
Ooh. You know what? I want to take 2 points. 0 points to 11.
What? Oh my
We're gonna
gosh.
mix it up a little bit. No socks, no shoes, no service.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have some apologizing to do there. For our third and final challenge, our contestants were tasked with coming up with the longest sentence they could compose out of titles they could see around them. So, Rule Master, should I read the sentences first, or do we want to give some...
Yeah, let's go one by one.
Okay. So Peyton's sentence was, "The enchanted sonata poisoned girls with razor hearts and girls with sharp sticks, since you've been gone gathering deep stars above the ruby circle. Here there be dragons."
I have to admit, I was super surprised as a person who instinctively goes and tries to finish the task just based on as quick as possible. She did it really, really well. Without overthinking, without doing anything else. She didn't even grab books, right? Like,
She did not grab books. She did not even grab the pen and paper that were set for her
yeah.
to remember her title. She just walked through the stacks and recited her sentence as she came across titles, which I thought was pretty impressive and a really interesting strategy. One thing I do want to point out,
Sure.
she did add an "and" in her
Oh.
sentence that was not in a title. And she did add a semicolon and added another clause onto what was already a full sentence. All right, so Mike's sentence, Mike took a different approach. He went straight to the DVDs instead of relying on the books. Straight to the beginning of the alphabet in the DVDs.
Yeah,
as if
yeah.
that's an obvious place to
Of
start.
course, yeah, with A's, right?
Yeah. So his sentence was, 2 days after Battle of the Bulge, Ben is back.
Well, it's heartwarming.
It is.
Ben survived the Battle of the Bulge.
He did.
Other than that, it's pretty short.
Yeah, 10 words. Also, he decided about mid-task to not use full titles. He decided to chop up some titles.
So if I was judging this, I think Mike would find himself in a familiar place of disqualification.
Ooh. So moving on to Elijah, our resident Ravenclaw. He had some interesting thoughts about this task and about the wording of the task. He was under the impression that he could not move from the chair that he was seated in at the beginning. He was afraid that that would somehow change the context of the meaning of the phrase titles around you, until I pointed out to him that you didn't know where he was starting.
Yeah.
So around him could have literally been anywhere.
Yeah.
And then at that point, he began taking books off the shelf and trying to compose them. So his final sentence reads, "The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea return 499 facts about hip-hop Hamilton and the rest of America's founding fathers, and all your twisted secrets to Bryson Keller. All the things we never knew salvaged the Wizard's craft book."
Well, I like the use of Hamilton.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. That one title accounts for about half of the words in his sentence, so that
That's
was a
pretty
good strategy.
I
Yeah.
mean, we could maybe give him points for that. But he cheated, right?
Well, he also chose to chop up some titles.
Oh.
Quite a few, actually. I have them all listed here for your perusal, and I've bolded the words that he actually used in the sentence, but there are quite a few that he left out of some titles. And at one point, he just added an "and," because he needed it, and he felt like, oh, well, "and" is in a bunch of these titles. I can just pull that one out and stick it in my sentence. He also tried the semicolon approach, just to make things a little longer, so I'm not sure how you want to handle that.
I think he and Mike are going to get really close with one another, as they're both disqualified. According to me. You guys might pick differently, but that's how I see it.
All right, well, you've heard our thoughts, and the great thing about Task 3 is you all get to decide who is the winner. We will put a poll up immediately following this video with all 3 of our contestants' sentences, and you have to decide which one you think is the best sentence out of titles found here in the library. Your votes will factor into the final points, and we will announce the winner of this episode on our social media, so stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Library Rules, and watch our social media for another episode coming next month with 3 fresh new contestants. I want to thank the Rule Master for sharing his judgment with us today, and we hope to see you next time. All right, families, this is not just a spectator sport. The Rule Master has a challenge for you as well, and it is our 3rd task from this episode. According to library rules, you must make the longest grammatically correct sentence out of book, movie, and media titles you see around you. Longest sentences might be featured on the library's social media. Your time starts now.